Hi, in this particular video, we'll cover three functions. The first one is sum, then we've got sumif, and the third one is sumifs. Now, we'll start off with the sum function, and I've got the same example which I will be using across all the three. So I've got a list of 10 employees. I've got their employee IDs, department, designation, date of joining, and salary. Now, the sum function, as the name suggests, it's used to add numbers. The syntax is very simple. So all you need to do is you need to call the sum function and then you just need to pass on the cells which you want to add. Now let's say I want to add up all their salaries. So I will call the sum function and then I will pass all the cells which I want to add and I'll click on enter. This gives me a value of 443k. So this is the sum of their salaries. So sum function is pretty straightforward. Now let's move on to the sumif function. Again, the idea behind this function is exactly the same as of a normal sum function. Just that with this particular function, we can also check for criteria. Before jumping onto the example, let's just look at the syntax for this particular function. So SUMIF, the range over here is for those cells on which you want to check the criteria. The criteria over here is basically the condition which you want to check. And then finally you've got the sum range, basically the range of those cells which you want to add up. So let's look at this example over here. So let's say I want to calculate salary of all employees in analytics. Now I've got 3 employees over here who are in analytics, and using SUMIF, let's calculate their salaries. So I'm calling the SUMIF function. Now for the range, because this particular column consists of the analytics value, so this will be my criteria range. Now I want to check for analytics, and finally I want to sum all these numbers. I'm getting 215,000. If I sum them manually, that is what I'm getting. Now over here you've passed analytics basis a particular cell, right? So instead of this, you can also pass it in a way that it is hard coded. So the result still remains the same. Now let's move on to SUMIFs. Again, SUMIFs is very similar to SUMIF, just that with SUMIF you can just check one condition, but with SUMIFs you can check multiple conditions. If we look at the syntax for SUMIFs, it is sum range, basically the range of cells which you want to sum. Then this is the range for criteria 1. This is basically my first condition. Then you can similarly follow it up with criteria range 2, then your second criteria, and so on. So let's look at this particular example again. Now over here, I want to calculate sum of salaries of all AVPs in analytics. Now in analytics, I've got 3 employees, but out of them, 2 are AVPs and 1 is an analyst. So I want to sum the salary of these 2 individuals. So let's use SUMIFs. Now first, I'll pass on the range which I want to sum. Then I will pass on the range for my criteria 1. My criteria 1 is analytics. Then I will pass on the range for my criteria 2. And my criteria 2 is AVP. Enter. So I'm getting 155,000. And let's see if I get the same result if I sum them manually. Yes, that is what I'm getting if I sum them manually as well. Now, just like you've got these three functions, sum, sumif, sumifs, similarly, you've got count, countif, countifs, and you've got average, average if, and average ifs. Thank you.